Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Orgasms versus Ozempic. Who wore it better? Ozempic is all the rage these days as a weight loss tool, especially for people who feel like they've tried everything and are still struggling to lose weight. Weight loss is conventionally thought of as a formula. Caloric deficit equals weight loss. Eating less and burning more calories than what it takes for you to stay the same. That's it. While I don't know everything about Ozempic because I largely don't care, what little I do know is that it's an appetite suppressant. When people have cravings and are tempted to go above their caloric limit, they are less likely to. So, the heart of the matter is the compulsion to overeat. Some of that is habit. We get used to eating larger amounts of food. Some of that is addiction. We get used to the feeling and the high of certain chemicals in food, like sugar. And the rest of it is the desire to self-medicate, to numb out, to shrink and hide inside our bodies, and to float in a sea of dissociation. A huge proportion of people with disordered eating have a history of sexual abuse. The energy of not wanting to be in their bodies translates into hiding within them or masking the body in some way. What I've also heard is that even if people take Ozempic, once they go off of it, the weight tends to come back. Like going on a crash diet. They've never dealt with the underlying issues and the compulsion to overeat. Over the decades of doing this work, I first noticed it in myself, and then having years of clients under my belt, I've seen it in other people. When you are well-loved and well-fucked, excess weight drops off. It gets vaporized. Excess weight is excess baggage. It's the issues and stories and traumas that haven't been processed that linger within us, and they manifest as literal weight that we carry. Alchemical sex transforms our excess weight faster than anything else. So the Ozempic route, which is called GLP-1, really ought to stand for Get Laid, Please. It's your number one priority. But it's not just any kind of sex that can make this sort of alchemy. We are talking about Anami-style gourmet sex. Junk food sex won't do it. Yes, junk food gives you a quick hit, like a sugar high, and then it drops you, leaving you feeling tired, irritable, and maybe even remorseful. Gourmet sex nourishes you to the depth of your being. It feeds you emotionally, spiritually, and physically. It changes you. What happens when people are on a steady diet of gourmet sex is that their addictive cravings for all things harmful subside. They aren't desperate to fill a void because the most important void is already being filled. Yes, literally. And our deepest intimate needs are being attended to, being seen, adored, loved, and cherished for who we really are. When you have that as your regular food in your life, your cravings for poor substitutions dissipate. And that nourishment of seeing the self isn't just in partnership with another person. As a single person, you still have this energy and resource available to you through conscious self-pleasuring. You can harness and harvest this energy to heal, rejuvenate, and satiate yourself. And when you do come together with a willing partner, someone who also appreciates the gourmet version, well, then you have created a full powerhouse. When you combine this with the tapping into the power of your sexual life force energy, you move mountains, and you make miracles pretty much every time you have sex. Think about it. Every sexual act has the capacity to create new life. Most people unknowingly just eject all of that energy out of them, and then they pass out. My work is all about consciously learning to use this energy for healing, regeneration, and self-actualization. Yes, we're all about the ecstatic orgasms, but on a steady diet of gourmet sex, ecstasy becomes your default state of life. It's like if you were eating junk food all the time. You could expect to feel pretty crap, low energy, lethargy, brain fog, not that motivated, moody. Versus if you are eating nourishing food, you are fueling your body and your mind to work at their optimum performance levels. Junk food sex is a hole that never gets filled. Gourmet sex is many holes that get deeply filled all of the time. So here is the Anami weight loss recipe. Number 1, alchemize trauma and unresolved issues through gourmet sex with yourself or others. We do this through intention, breathing, and consciously working to clear your sexual blocks. I teach people a number of techniques to harvest and harness their sexual energy so that they aren't just dumping it out during a sexual encounter, but consciously learning to recirculate that energy within their bodies to have it available for healing and creativity. I always ask people, do you feel energized or depleted after sex? Do you feel like you want to run a marathon or pass out? Does it feel like you busted one out to help you with stress relief, or do you feel reborn into a better version of yourself? This is how you know whether you've used your procreative energy for its true purpose, to rebirth yourself and your life, or if you've missed out entirely and you have flushed that energy down the toilet with your scrunched up tissue. All of my work is geared towards helping people to tap into this energy to heal themselves and create their lives, while having ecstatic, euphoric orgasms that last for days along the way. Number 2 would be cervical orgasms for the win. There is no greater reset, recalibration, trauma healing, and self-realization, bombshell cultivation of don't give a fuck, I am who I am energy than the power of cervical orgasms. Cervical orgasms are the best alchemical transformer there is. For years, people have shared with me how their cervical orgasms have taken the place of therapy. And look, I'm still a fan of therapy. I love it. But your deep vaginal orgasms accelerate everything, and they quantum leap you to the next levels in ways that your breath work and ice baths never could. There is so much discussion about nervous system resets and the vagus nerve these days, which is great. But far better than the external plant medicine you could take is the genital medicine of gourmet, psychedelic sex and getting thoroughly fuck changed and seeing God through your cervical orgasms. Among other amazing mood-boosting chemicals, including DMT, orgasms release oxytocin. The deeper vaginal orgasms, G-spot, cervical, and squirting release much more of it. Oxytocin wipes out cortisol. A high supply of cortisol and stress hormones create the belly pond that we see. You want to flatten your belly? Have more cervical orgasms. Because of the depth and surrender these orgasms require to achieve, the whole journey is one of releasing layers of yourself and surrendering the unnecessary, the baggage. The catharsis and letting go of your false parts is the price of admission. So, of course, you feel lighter afterwards in every possible way. This is your internal combustion engine working off your issues as you go and as you come. You are letting go on such a deep level that it rewires your nervous system. You have these deep, cataclysmic, God-seeing, psychedelic, transcendent cervical orgasms, and it's like you've done hours of therapy, a plant medicine trip, months of breath work, saunas, ice baths, and somatic releasing all in one. Nothing resets you faster and rebirths you deeper. Many women cry at the height of their cervical orgasms. The crying isn't necessarily related to any particular event, but their system sees a way to viscerally release tension and trauma, and it goes for it. Afterward, you feel completely cleansed and reborn, and that's a high and a feeling that lasts for days. Next up in the Anami weight loss recipe is 3-hour sex dates. I recommend 3-hour weekly sex dates for all people. And for myself, I like 6-day sex dates. Any way that you slice it, these are extended sessions where you can really unwind, let go, and be uninterrupted to focus on yourself and each other. That is where the magic happens. No magic is had in 3-minute pump, dump, and schlump sessions. The longer you are intimate for, the more energy you generate. Your bed becomes your engine and your fuel source. I remember coming back from my 6-day sex date many years ago. We returned to civilization after having been off the grid for that entire time. I looked in the mirror and I could see that my body had changed. It was sculpted in a way that I had never seen before. Yes, we had been having lots of all night and all day sex sessions, but this was more than just a calories burnt kind of look. It was as though my body had found its perfect form. It was sculpted and accentuated in all the right places. It was the most self-actualized it had ever been, because that's exactly how I felt inside. The most loved, known, cherished, seen, and opened up that I had ever been in my life. That is the medicine. That is the quantum leap factor, growth accelerator extraordinaire. It's bar none. It was like all the love and orgasms and sensual bliss had chiseled my body into its ultimate perfect form. I was blown away when I was looking in the mirror. This is what I'm talking about. This is the time and space bending quantum piece of the puzzle. And this is what scores of our well-fucked all-stars have had happen to them, where they talk about the weight just dropping off when nothing in the typical equation of exercise and food had changed. But they were changing from the inside out. They were becoming their true selves, and that reflected in their body shapes. This is an excerpt from our well-fucked all-star Alexa talking about losing 76 pounds out of nowhere as she started her sexual journey with me. She equates that with all of the inner work that she was doing to burn through her metaphysical calories, and that the weight loss was a byproduct of the emotional clearing she experienced through doing her sexual work. She also evaporated a vaginal cyst and a throat cyst. Again, more of the alchemy that releases trauma and all the representations of it.
Well-Fucked All-Stars. So just kind of a snapshot of where I was before versus after working on myself through Kim and Nami's work and everything I learned in the salon. It's kind of wild looking back because I was at my lowest ebb, not only emotionally, but I was so heavy. I had just given birth and I had gained like 90 pounds and I was having the hardest time getting it off. I was in debt, like over $35,000. And my career was at an obvious like standstill after COVID. And my husband and I were also just, I think because of where I was at personally, it was just being reflected to me in my relationships, be it him and also my family and other things going on in my life. And, you know, fast forward to now, it's kind of amazing to look back at where I was because I'm in such a different place. I feel like a different person, like a more invigorated, refreshed version of myself. Not only has all the debt been totally eliminated, but now it's so great to be, you know, going in the right direction. And my husband and I were better than we've ever been. My daughter's thriving. I'm happier. I have so much more energy. I've lost now like I want to say 76 pounds total, and still kind of go in that direction. I got 8 more. And what I learned through that salon was really how to utilize the tools of my own sexuality, my own, everything I had within myself, how to really channel that, harness that, and unblock myself. And what I mean by unblock myself is that I had no idea how many layers of, whether it be trauma, grief, sadness, just things that come up in life that we, as she puts it, your issues are in your tissues. I had no idea how much of that could really be healed through, whether it be orgasms or just being willing to be with yourself and allow that stuff to come up in a way that therapy had never worked for me in that sense. Like you can talk it out for forever, but sometimes you just don't hit that core sense of the root cause of whatever the trigger is. When I started Kim Anami's work, I had also at the same time had what's called a Barthonian cyst, which is like on the inner lining of your vulva. And what was amazing to me was after applying the yoni principle, like the different techniques and the different healing modalities she offers, and really going in and clearing up some stuff emotionally, I started to notice that the cyst was decreasing in size. And, getting that verified via OBGYN, and also then going into my endocrinologist and finding that the throat cysts were completely gone and my thyroid was back to functioning fully. It was miraculous. As I was clearing these emotional things, not only were the cysts leaving my body, because they were just sort of like messengers, if you will, telling me, hey, something is not healed. There's something we have to tell you. So as those became healed, a byproduct of the emotional clearing was I was so quick to lose a ton of weight. Like it just started falling off. And, now 76 pounds later, I just feel not just lighter physically, but I feel lighter in my spirit. I feel lighter in my outlook on life. And I feel like this old self that was just not really who I was. It was just like the clothing of the self, like the emotional clothing is gone. And it's this renewed sense of hope, inspiration, enthusiasm, joy, and just this vigor and eagerness for life, which is, God, that's like one of the best parts of it all. Yes, the physical stuff is amazing. And the confirmation that it's working is just so validating. And I'm excited for what else is possible.
This next excerpt features Robin, who lost 60 pounds through alchemizing her issues in bed.
Well-Fucked All-Stars.
I went to this fireman auction after I had finished your course, and I was just kind of on fire there. And so there were like all these men being auctioned, and you always talk about in the courses, like free your boobs. You don't have to wear a bra all the time, shake them, play the game. If men invented the game, play the fucking game, And so here I was, and it was like the opposite, right? We're like in the woman's, like the lion's den, right? Like firemen are being auctioned off. It was just a wonderful time. I picked the cutest guy in the bar. He was a fireman and he was delicious. He was like 6'7" and like all the wonderful epic things, right? He's the rescuer, right? Like literally the rescuer. We ended up hitting it off. My sex drive was through the roof. I had to ask my vagina, right? Does he make you wet? Are you interested? And the answer was fuck yeah, right? It wasn't like no or maybe. It's like, yeah, it's like fuck yeah or no. And it was a fuck yeah for me. And we had gourmet sex every single time, like 3 hours at a time or 4 hours at a time at his place or my place. And he would just tell me like, girl, you are exhausting. And I was like, first of all, you're welcome. Second of all, we don't have to have sex every time. Like if you're tired, we don't have to have sex. And he looked at me and he was like, fuck you. Yes, we do. Like, how dare you say that to me? Don't act like I can't handle it. And I was like, maybe you can. If you can't handle it, that's also okay. We can rest. And he just didn't really know how to handle me. So yeah, he looked at me and he was like, you look real and you feel real, but this can't be real. Like people don't have, 2-hour sex sessions and squirt all over the place and keep maintaining that level of sex drive. He kept feeling like, when is this going to go away? for me and him, that's just how we were. And the longer I was with him, the more sculpted my body got, and it was just such a good way to lose weight and to shape my body, because the more I was with him, the more, I'm working my abs and my thighs and my ass. And, I would just feel so confident. This one time when we were on his couch and I straddled him and we were, engaged, he just looked at me and he was like, "You are," and paused. And I was like, "Oh my." And he was like, "So beautiful." And I just felt so vulnerable, right? Because I'm like on him, I'm in front of him, I'm on his couch, I'm naked, I'm all these things. And that compliment has just stayed with me because it was like such an intimate moment. And to be complimented when you're so vulnerable and kind of like wild, just really set me free in a way. And it's like, I don't know, by the time we were done, I had like a 4-pack. I think I was at 217 and I got down to 160. I'm like, if I lean back, I'm like, you can see my abs. And I kind of have a little bit of a V line. And like, my body just started to like mold into this, like, this woman, like you talk about a woman that looks well fucked, you start to get like a really shapely figure. And I was confident and strong. And God, it was just a fiery time in my life. I wanted to own my power and have confidence in my femininity, the way that sexual energy allows, and really just harnessing my femininity in that, like sexual dance or sexual touch, being open to that touch, and even opening up my breasts. And I think freeing myself helped my body change shape. And your famous line is like, who you are in bed is who you are in real life. And that has become a deep mantra in my experience through sexuality, is that when I became more free in bed, even with myself, to allow myself to squirt alone with myself, I think that's part of what also helps sculpt my body, is that it became who I was in bed and in real life.
Amazing and inspiring stories. I will give a shout out to tracking macros, daily exercise, and protein intake, as these have been big components on my own journey, and they're definitely important. But we are all about root causes and deep solutions here in Anami land. And the root cause is all the holes that are not being filled. In the Well-Fucked Woman Salon, you will learn all the tools you need to channel your sexual energy and use it for its true purpose, as procreative energy you can use to heal, alchemize, and build your life and body with. You will learn how to have the life-changing cervical, G-spot, and squirting orgasms, how to own and heal your dissociated parts, how to become unfuckwithable, how to transform your sexual energy into creative, regenerative, and healing energy, self-pleasuring practices so that you will never be underfucked again, plus all of my cock-whispering techniques to bring your man to his knees, and much more. The Well-Fucked Woman Salon is open now for registration, and then it's gone again until 2025. To sign up, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and then click on How to Be a Well-Fucked Woman. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.